the Colts at Texans, and now this is a huge game if I want my Texans to stay in it. A 5-7 record at this point in the year is not horrible. It's not bad by any stretch of the imagination, considering the Texans have won 3 out of their last 4. Now, granted, they've been against the Lions, the Patriots, and the Jaguars. But the team that beat the Jaguars is a whole different team than the team that beat the Lions last week. The team that beat the Jaguars couldn't stop the run, and it was not a good performance beating the Jaguars. And then we played the Browns. That's where I think the turning point happened. And the stats say that Nick Chubb ran all over us, but the fact is a lot of that yardage came on like that 60-yard run at the end of the game. While that definitely sucked, we held him in check for most of the game. Then you go back to the Patriots a few weeks back, and we only held them to 80 yards. Again, that's a lot of that might look like a lot of yardage, but Damian Harris, if you look at the Ravens game, if you look at every single game he's played in so far, he's racked up way more yardage than 80. So, and then you look at the game last week where we were able to stop them in a lot of key situations. Now, here's the disappointing thing for the Texans. I was excited about this receiving core. I understand we lost DeAndre Hopkins, but we still had Will Fuller. We still had Brandon Cooks. We still had Kenny Stills, and we still had Randall Cobb. Those were 4 elite playmakers. Now, Will Fuller's suspended for the rest of the year. Kenny Stills is gone, hasta luego, and I'd like to see where he ends up, because if you can claim him on waivers, Washington, he's a really great playmaker, and he can really help the football team. But Randall Cobb's on IR. If you're wondering who the wide receivers are for the Texans, here's who you have to rely on. Brandon Cooks. That's it. That's all I would rely on. Jordan Akins and Darren Fells are fine, but I'm really worried about this football team moving forward on offense. I think Deshaun Watson can carry them. The fact is, no Will Fuller in that elite speed. You have no Randall Cobb until like week 15, which means you got to tread water for 2 more weeks before you can get that Randall Cobb guy back. So you can double up Brandon Cooks, which leaves the question, who are you going to throw to in the wide receiver core? So here's what I'm interested in. Kiki Kuti was actually pretty good a few years back. If you remember him when DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller both went down with injuries late in the season. I think it was the first year Deshaun Watson was going to take them to the playoffs. Kiki Kuti stepped in as a number 1 receiver, and he actually looked quite good. So Kiki Kuti is another player that is quite exciting out of Texas Tech, and he can make a good amount of plays. While he's not as good as the 4 receivers, not many people are, and it's really interesting to see how he's going to influence the offense moving forward. Another person I'm excited to see is Isaiah Coulter. We drafted him, I think, in the 4th or 5th round out of Rhode Island. But he was a wide receiver I was very excited on moving into the draft. He wasn't in my top 10, but again, there are so many good receivers in this draft. Not everyone could make my top 10, and the fact is, a lot of those receivers turned out to be superstars. So I'm excited to see how Isaiah Coulter will do in his the first time he really will see any significant snaps in this NFL game. So I'm interested to see that. But Colts get back DeForest Buckner after this week, and the fact is, it's a different defense with DeForest Buckner on their team. I'm really worried about this Colts team. The offense was exposed. The defense was exposed last week against the Titans. I feel like they'll have a comeback game. Jonathan Taylor's probably going to be back from the COVID list, and the fact is that guy's a beast. I hope the Texans defense is able to hold him. I think it's going to end up being a shootout, but give me Deshaun Watson every day in a shootout. Give me the Texans to win this game and upset the Colts.